welcome to another exciting episode of the Thursday discussion series. I am Jesse Buda, your host for today's session, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for an important and timely conversation. Today, we're diving into a topic that's shaping the future of Africa's energy landscape: women in clean tech, driving innovation and sustainability in Africa. Throughout the continent, women are leading groundbreaking initiatives in clean energy, sustainability, and technology. Yet, despite their contribution, gender barriers remain a significant challenge in this rapid evolving sector. In this episode, we will explore the critical role women play in driving Africa's clean energy transition, the challenges they face, and the opportunities that lie ahead. We have an incredible guest who is a leader and a change maker in this space. Mercy Ohamuche, she is the customer affairs analyst at the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. She specializes in regulatory policies and customer engagements in the energy sector. Throughout this conversation, we will discuss the barriers women face in clean tech, the policies that can drive gender inclusion, and how we can collectively work towards a more equitable and sustainable future. So whether you're an industry expert, a young professional, or simply passionate about clean energy and gender equality, this episode is for you. Stay tuned as we unpack the future of women in Africa's clean technology revolution. Ms. Mercy, you're welcome to this episode of our Thursday discussion series.
Thank you very much, Jess. Hi.
All right. Without further ado, let's get started. So first, I want to ask you how the NERC ensures that gender considerations are integrated into Nigeria's electricity regulatory policies. And this is because this month we marked the International Women's Day, and looking at some of the barriers that women face in the clean energy sector. What do you think the NERC has done to consider women and to integrate them in the energy space?
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse, and I'm happy to be here. It's a nice coincidence that I'm actually wearing a purple and green dress, and if I remember correctly, it's they're part of the colors of this year's International Women's Day celebration. Okay, as regards to what NEC is doing, what the Commission is doing regarding ensuring gender considerations, I think I'd like it to look at it from a more practical perspective, and that would be, how they say that the best form of, okay, maybe not the best form, but one of the most efficient forms of teaching is doing, right? And I think that is the direction that the Commission has taken to advancing gender considerations. And you can see this in some of the policies of the Commission, even regarding the women in management. The Commission has a high number of women in its leadership, and it ranges from the board level down to the management and even to lower management all across its leadership. The Commission has ensured, more gender inclusive environments in a way that allows women to reach their potentials in the power sector and, of course, here in the Commission. I think that one of the advantages of that is that it puts women in, it gives women people to look up to, it sort of places these women in mentorship positions where younger ladies can look up to them to become quote and unquote big in the power sector or in the energy industry in Nigeria, right? They can look up to them. You can um, have those kind of one-on-one mentorship or coaching experiences with these people. So yeah, I think that is one of the things that the commission is doing in terms of practically ensuring gender inclusion in the electricity sector. And then another thing is the robust maternity leave. What is it called now? The robust maternity leave package of the commission. And by that I mean that, once women put to bed, they're given quite a good, amount of time to recover and all of that before coming back to work. And even when they come back to work, they don't there's an immersion process or re-immersion process, right, that allows the women settling back into the commission. I think that is, if you ask me, that is a very powerful thing to do, starting from not just preaching or teaching or giving out policies, but actually living it experientially. I think that is, yeah, the things that
Hmm.
communities do. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So from a consumer affairs perspective, seeing that you're a consumer affairs analyst at the NERC,
Yeah.
um, how has the commission increased female participation in clean tech, impact energy access, and customer behavior? How has the commission impacted on clean tech and energy access on consumer behavior? Very recently, we listened to the MD CEO of the REA, where he mentioned the federal government's mandate to electrify rural Nigeria through clean energy solutions. Um, and so he mentioned that they have been in the business of deploying solar power stations and hubs in various rural communities in Nigeria. So in that perspective, and of course, um, uh, so of course, the citizens are the consumers of the energy access in that regard. So how does the commission now integrate women into all of this, making sure that they impact on their consumer behavior in our
Okay.
communities?
Okay, sorry. Oh yeah, thank you for that question. The way I see it, I think, the issue of female participation in clean tech or sustainable energy in the past, like, or in Nigeria is, like the MD of RE said, is a collective thing, right? Is a collective thing. The commission is While the commission is the apex regulator of the power sector, as stated in the Electricity Act 2023, it is still a collective effort. So how I like to look at it is that what has um, increased women or female participation in how female participation in clean energy impacts energy access and consumer behavior. And for me, I think um, people argue that women form a large base of energy consumers because of the critical role that women, play in families. And of course, that means that women play a primary role in energy decision making in terms of, in more rural communities, you have women stay at home, they clean, they cook, and do all of those. So basically, women's role as, primary energy decision makers in most Nigerian households already makes them critical change agents for, clean energy um, adoption, right? So if we want to now bring it home, more specifically, women's participation in clean energy basically means that there will be improved adoption of clean cooking. And of course, that means reduced carbon emissions from cooking with kerosene stoves, gas cookers, and firewood. That's from the sustainability angle. And if you also want to look at it from the access, energy access point of view, you'll be looking at how women's participation actually increase or improve energy access, trying to close the energy access gap in Nigeria. And when we have more women adopting, clean energy technologies or clean energy solutions, it means that there will be grassroots, it will promote that grassroots innovation, and that would improve access, especially in rural communities, right? Um, another thing is that it will also improve energy efficiency. So more women participating in renewable, in clean energy, clean energy technologies really means that, because I think clean energy, in my perspective, clean energy and energy efficiency, it goes hand in hand, right? So if more women are participating in clean energy, it also means that the idea of energy efficiency is being entrenched in households across Nigeria, right? In households across Nigeria. So people are going out of the rooms and turning off the lights. The women are teaching their children to turn off the tap when you're brushing your teeth. You're teaching your children to not leave the TV on overnight, right? And in most houses, you find that it is the women, in most homes, it is the women that sleep late, that go to bed later. The men go to bed and the woman has to do the final cleaning and checking and all of that, turn off the lights and everything. It's all part of the energy efficiency drive. And once people learn to manage their use of energy, it means that more energy, more electricity or power, as it were, would be available for other people. So that is in another way, or from another perspective, driving even access to clean energy. And it also, women participating in clean energy, there's the economic side of it, right? Where you have female entrepreneurs um, who operate mini grids or solar home systems, have those kind of firms that offer those kinds of services. And what it boils down to is empowerment, economic empowerment, not just for women, but for the society, right? There's the aspect of economic growth, of course, by creating jobs, particularly for other women. You find that an example will be Clean Tech Hub, right? Which is the host here. The 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 chief executive is a woman, and in a recent picture I saw of a retreat that happened somewhere in somewhere in Nigeria, I saw that there were actually more females on the team than male than the male folk. So women participating in clean energy, of course, is advancing. It's not just advancing what you say now, clean energy technology it's not just advancing that in their homes, but it's also driving energy access. There's the economic aspect of it, the economic empowerment aspect of it. And you know how they say, there's this saying that if you train a woman, or if you build a woman, you're building a nation. So women's participation is actually critical. And like I said, Mrs. Ifemalo, she's a perfect example where you have a lot of women on the team. You train a woman, you build a woman, and you're building a nation. And speaking about consumer behavior, I believe I've touched on it though, as regards to energy efficiency concerns and all of that. And if you want to also, um, if you want to look at it from this, maybe what the commission, like you asked, what the commission is, how the commission is promoting that. I think one of the major ways is the mini grids regulation, right, which allows a plain or a fair playing ground for both genders. Because at the end of the day, we don't want a lopsided scale. What we want is, a balance where everybody has
Yeah.
access, right? So
A fair
everybody,
playing ground. Yeah.
exactly, a fair playing ground where everybody has access to these opportunities. I mean, there are things that we can do better, maybe as a commission. There are things that we can do better as a nation, as there are things that we can do better, right, in terms of policy making. But yeah, so far I think that's not a bad start. And the commission has, licensed quite a number of um, female-led clean energy, you know, corporations. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, because when in recent times, when you look at it, I discovered that there's a lot of female participation within the clean energy space, and especially when we attend, various conferences or like workshops, the number of women that turn out and show interest in this clean energy transition and adoption is mind blowing,
Yeah.
and that gives us a semblance of hope that um, the energy transition will even take place sooner than we think, since now a lot of women are taking charge of, of this sector.
Yeah.
And so, are there any specific policies or initiatives that support women uh, to interact with these businesses in Nigeria? Do you think there are any policies which have been made either by uh, at the National Assembly or even the NERC?
Okay, well, while I can't think of any particular policy, right? Like an all-encompassing policy for that, drive women, or what's it called now, that drive gender concerns in the energy sector. I think that we have initiatives here and there. We have a couple of rules, right, that try to drive it from the ground up. And an example would be, like I said, the mini grids regulation, which provides a framework that allows, even small scale women-led energy enterprises to actually set up and operate, localized energy solutions, especially in underserved areas, right? There's the mini grid regulation. There's also the REA's NEP project, Nigerian Electrification Project, NEP,
Mm.
right? That is also supporting women-led businesses. Like I said, initiatives here and there. There are also frameworks that allow for mentorship, like Women in Energy Network. There are a couple of those other networks that, support, it's a women supporting women kind of thing that provides that kind of avenue. And, there are also a couple of grants, I think, that donor organizations like the African Development Bank, the UNDP,
Mm.
offer to women, or to support capacity building initiatives for women, entrepreneurs who want to play in the clean tech space.
Quite interesting. And all of this would give an opportunity, of course, for women to even take more leadership roles, within the clean
Exactly.
energy space. And when we look at leaders like Ms. Ifemamalo, who is a major player in this space, uh, Ms. Damilola Ogunbi, who is the CEO for the Sustainable Energy for All, you would see that more women are taking up leadership roles and, of course, delivering on the clean energy mandate
Yeah,
very, very immensely.
I
Okay,
think
finally, any word for the policymakers to encourage more women? Because even though there are women playing in this space, I think it is still underserved. That there's still a shortage of female participation. And we're looking at a situation where more women are encouraged to participate in this sector. Any final words on that? How can women be encouraged to participate more?
okay, before I go to that, right, I think there's need to consider or to discuss challenges. There are there are some
Mm.
real challenges that actually hamper, women participation in clean tech or even the drive. There are some uh, real challenges that hamper that drive. And an example would be, sociocultural barriers, right? You have some cultural norms that do not allow women pursue certain careers, right? Or even limit their participation in the workforce generally. And that is not even limiting it to the power sector or to the energy industry, right? That is on one hand. There is also the challenge of limited finances, even though I've mentioned a couple of initiatives and all, but there are issues of limited finance, limited access to finance for female enterprises, even though some for female-led enterprises, I beg your pardon, some people are doing something, but how do they say it now? It is more effective. Using one stick of broom doesn't have as
Mm.
much effect as using a whole bunch, right?
As ages a
So
bunch, yeah.
exactly. So that's a challenge. And there's also the issue of awareness and capacity gaps. And I'm happy that there are a lot of effort is going into this aspect, like you mentioned, the recent event and how a lot of women turned up for the clean energy adoption workshop, I think. Um, but there is still a lot of awareness and capacity gaps. People don't even know. Like the basic things you think that, okay, anybody would know about clean technology or anybody would know about, energy efficiency at the basic. If you're not switching to clean technology, at least you should be able to manage what you have now, right? For the various advantages that the various pros or the various upsides, but there is still a lot of awareness and capacity gaps for women. And I think that that's where these challenges, while they're there, I think that that's where um, policymakers can come in. I
Yeah.
think that's where policymakers can come in. There's
Mm.
and one way can be to implement quotas for women in leadership position. I already talked about that earlier. The commission, using the commission as an example, and I can say for sure that the commission has implemented diversity in
Mm.
female representation from board level to management level and all of from across all the levels. And I think that's making a policy document of that can drive both um, public sector public sector and the private sector businesses is critical. It is like it's like coming to a knife fight with a bazooka, right? So that's on another. But then
Yes.
you get what I mean, implementing quotas that allow women to play in, mandatory quotas that allow women play in leadership roles. Then
Yeah.
another way that policymakers can encourage women is to provide financial incentives for female entrepreneurs. I mean, our women are doing a lot, but there are some things, a little support here and there can really boost somebody's, you know, can really boost their morale, so to speak.
Mm. Yes.
That could be, fast tracking licensing process for maybe women-led cooperatives. You know, it could also be reduced, maybe a certain percentage of fee being reduced for business registration of, women-led cooperatives, right? Little concessions here and there, little support here and there, little incentives here and there can really encourage women-led, energy businesses. And
Wow.
another aspect I wanted to speak about is mentorship and networking opportunities. There are a lot of mentorship. I'm aware there are quite a number of networking or mentorship, let's just say mentorship platforms or networking platforms for women in the sector. But I find that a few of those, it's only a few of those networks that have clearly outlined processes to join them. You're not sure how, you're not sure about how to join or what to do to support. And even if they're doing great things, they are really, excuse me, providing a platform to support younger women or generally women, right, in the space. I feel like clearly stating how women can join those networks would really help. And this is, most of these networks are not, publicly operated. They are more of a group of private sector people, individuals generally coming together and setting up those networks. I feel like if we're looking to achieve the goal beyond what policymakers can do, right? Even within the ordinary people, quote and unquote, the private players, individuals, we can support ourselves and making these things very clear. It shouldn't be rocket science. It shouldn't be, while we also want to ensure that we have the right people in the right circle and the right rooms. You don't want to set the bar so high that the people you want to reach are unable to even get in there, get in those rooms,
Yes.
right? I think beyond the policymakers, that's something that we individuals or ordinary people can do to support women women participation in clean energy, and of course the aspect of capacity building. As much as possible, let information be out there. There's a lot of knowledge in the space, right? Let us be more vocal about them. I remember one time I was working in a consulting firm, went to a certain community and we're talking to them about, basic things, turn off your light, turn off the AC, when you have a complaint, you report, this is the right channel and all of that. These are communities that have been electrified for years, but they did not even know those things. And there are a lot of those kind of information on the internet. How many of those people actually have access to the internet? How many of those people actually have access to, those platforms where we post them, right? So basically, I'm just saying the efforts that we're making, and like I said, this is me speaking to private players now, the efforts that we're making in encouraging women participation or female participation in the energy industry is great, but we can be louder about it. Let more people know about it. Let more people learn about it. Let more people have those opportunities. And I want to also, you know, give kudos to the REE. I think I saw something on I think not too long ago they had some collaboration with Sea Solar that allowed them to, it was a capacity building workshop or something like that
Capacity
for
building workshop, yeah.
women. Yes. So I think that is very laudable and it's an example that we can all learn from, right? And also imbibe, yeah, in our various organizations or, whatever capacity or whatever office you find yourself. Thank you.
Wow, very instructive there. You've been listening to Miss Mercy Ohamuche. She's the Customer Affairs Analyst at the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Sincerely, I want to thank you for coming on this episode of our Thursday discussion series, where we discussed women in clean tech driving innovation and sustainability in Africa. We hope that in our next episodes, we'll still have you back to share more insight and knowledge on how women are being supported across the continent to with initiatives in the sustainability sector. Thank you very much, Ms. Mercy, for being our guest today.
Thank you, Jesse, for having me. Truly a delight. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Until next time, bye, everyone.